everyone. Welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our little mini series of scrap paper pages in which we are taking our scraps, dusting them off, and playing with them. And I really enjoy playing with my scraps because I don't have a lot of them. It's not hard to work with them. And then the scraps I have, I love. I don't keep scraps that I don't care for. It doesn't matter how much I would have spent for it, or if it's new or if it's old. If I don't like it, I get rid of it. There's too many other papers to play with. Yes. And so, of course, along with these scrap papers, we are going to be playing with sketches by Creative Scrappers, and that is by Kristine Davidson. And all that information is listed below if you would like to grab some of these. Makes for a nice Christmas gift for yourself or a stocking stuffer for someone else. And so today we're going to work with Volume 3. In the previous video, we did Volume 2. And I love this volume. I think it's one of my favorite volumes, and what we have in here is another 120 sketches, and 60 designers have stepped in and created layouts to go with those sketches. This is wonderful, wonderful. And I know in here we have Allison Day. She is a fellow YouTuber and Loadster. We have Missy Whidden. Of course, she's here on YouTube. We have Kristine Davidson. We have Susanna Lee. She's here on YouTube. Audrey Yeager. She's here on YouTube. And Ashley Horton. They're all here on YouTube. Isn't that wonderful? Great, great designers. Great inspiration. And so if you have this Volume 3, we're going to be playing along with page 45 to begin with. And I have my papers here. And so what we're going to do is do two layouts just with some scrap paper and then do a start to finish. And so I'm excited to play with the layout today. Yes, I'm excited. I just love to scrapbook. I love to talk about scrapbooking, if anybody will listen. Absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working with some patterns. Now, this is a great layout or sketch if you want to use a lot of patterns, because you can take this in so many different ways, and I'll show what I mean. And so, of course, my favorite scrap size is 6 by 12 because it's half of a happy horizontal, and that's what we're going to do. So this is 6 by 11 3/4. I just trimmed it down a hair so that I would have a little bit of a margin here. So I'm putting that on the bottom, or, whatever I show, you could rotate and put that at the top. But because this is a heavyweight paper, and I don't mean by my mind's eye heavyweight, it is a nice piece of paper, but I mean the color, the pattern, the scale. It's a heavy piece of paper. It has a heavy look to it. So I'm putting it on the bottom. And then at the top, I'm going to be playing with 12 pieces, and I'm going to go left to right. And so what I did was I just took some scraps that have the color that's represented in this My Mind's Eye paper. Now, I will tell you, my turquoise don't match, my yellow doesn't match, my red and my pink, and you can't do that when you're playing with scraps. So forget about the matchy-matchy. Just get something in the same color scheme. So we're going to go left to right, and we're going to build another half of a happy horizontal, but we're going to do it with the scraps. And all of these scraps are 5.5 inches tall. That right there, that's 5.5 inches. And so, of course, I have some turquoise. That's about 1 3/4. I have some wood grain. That's a half. I have some yellow floral. That is about 1 inch. And all these measurements will be listed below, left to right. So if you want to go by that, you can. But you can just simply pull out scraps and just trim them down to what you need. And this red heart is 3/4 inches. Again, they're all 5.5 inches tall. And then, of course, we have some more turquoise. We have some yellow. That's 1/2 inches there. And the yellow is 1.5 inches. And then I have some wood grain. That's a 1/2 inch. I have some red, 3/4. Another piece of wood grain. This is 1 inch. And then I have some turquoise. This is 1 inch. And more yellow. That's a 1/2 inch. And then I'm ending up with a red, which is another heavyweight. That is 1 1/4 inches. So they are varying in sizes, but they are all 12 of these pieces are all 5.5 inches tall. Now, what you could do is that you could include a few more and then butt them up just like this, and then just do a whole row, or you can leave a little bit of margin in between. It's one of those things you just get your T-square out and you eyeball it. But I did, when I cut these sizes, because what I did is I just took a small piece of yellow and I divvied it up. I took a small piece of a red scrap, divvied it up. A white piece, wood grain, divvied up, and turquoise, divvied it up. But if you have these small scraps, these 1.5 inches, I don't keep scraps like that. And so you could just take a 6x6 pad and even trim it down to that. And then just take your T-square, line them up, leave a little bit of a margin. They will all fit on there. And so then with that, you could also cover up this seam with a border sticker or a couple border stickers, some washi, and also to some ribbon. So that is the happy horizontal, but isn't that a different way to do that? And again, you know, we talked about that in our 6x6 series. I'll have the playlist. You could absolutely do this top in 6x6 papers, and down here you could just use two 6x6 pieces of paper to get that 6x12 or 6x11 3/4. Is that not fun? Is that not easy? And again, my turquoise is not matchy, neither is my yellow or my red, but it's in the ballpark. It's all fun, absolutely. So now with that, you could absolutely use 13 different pieces of paper, because up here with those measurements, that's 12, and this would be 13. Or what you could do is up here, I had this big scrap, and I just love that. Of course, I love floral. And then I just took 4 colors and I divvied them up. You could easily do that. Again, these are all 5.5 inches tall. And the measurements will be listed below. So now let's go to the next one, another fun one, another easy one, and another one where you could use a lot of scraps in different patterns if you wanted to. And if you have volume 3, we're going to be playing with page 47, excuse me, and it's going to be sketch number 1. So I have all my papers here, and of course I love this color scheme. So what we're going to do is we are going to be playing with small scraps again, and these are all 1.5 inches wide. And so again, measurements are listed below. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making 7 columns of paper, and we're going to go vertical this time. So I have these in order just to make this go a little simpler. And I wanted to show something with these scraps. Notice how this scrap here, it absolutely already has a decorative edge because it was already in that. So I just left that as part of my scrap, that decorative edge. You could even paper tear these. So these are all 1.5 inches wide and 3 inches. So 1.5 by 3. And then for the second column, we're going to use a 1.5, but they're going to be 10. Now this is one of those sketches where you're going to take your papers, and some are going to go higher than the others. Some are going to go lower than the others. Again, this is all about having, you know, letting your hair down, having a little bit of fun. Again, there's that decorative edge on that light pink. And those are all 1.5 by 3. And then my fourth column is another one of those. This is my mind's eye paper. And I think that's from Big Top or something like that. Spread Your Wings, that's what it was. And so that is 1.5 by 10. So basically, if you just have these 1.5 inch strips, then you just cut them down into 3 inches. So that's basically what I did. And so again, I'm just alternating these. So here you have the turquoise and the dark pink and the light pink, and you know that makes a visual triangle very, very easy. Now on this pink, notice it doesn't have a decorative edge, doesn't matter. And then another 1.5 by 10. And again, see how they're going up and down? They're not all straight across. You could go all straight across. And then we're going to finish up with that same row. So I have 4 different patterns on here, and this is so pretty. Oh, I even have some mats here. We could do that. Oh, I could play with some clusters. Yes. And so those are all 1.5 inches wide, and then you could either cut them into 3-inch blocks or make it a 10-inch block. Just have fun with that. And then right here is 2 4x6 photos. Easy. And you could put a title up here, journaling, and then let's do a visual triangle. We could do a visual triangle there, and I know I have something else. Yeah, there's your visual triangle. How fun is that? Love playing with paper. I love playing with color. I love this hobby, yes. And so there's 2 4x6 photos. And so since this is like a whimsical type page, you could also put your photos in a whimsical type of arrangement, and that would be cattywampus. So now let's see what this would look like if we did some smaller photos. I think I have some 3x3s. Or something. I'm looking here. I'm still struggling with this black cardstock. So what you could do is you could get 6 photos. Let me just look at that frame. Yeah, El Cheapo. El Cheapo. And so then what you could do is, well, that's too big. Let me see if I have another one. Maybe I don't have another one. We may have to pretend. So that's 5 photos. So say if you have, oh, here we go. You could come over here. And you could put your title here, journaling here, and then another visual triangle. That's all. That's how easy that is. Very, very fun. So you could change up the photo sizes and the photo numbers even with that same base. So that is very, very fun. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. And that is, if you have that volume, it will be page 46. Well, there is an extra bonus. I found an embellishment. And so, of course, here I have these photos. They're from Charleston. I'm so excited. And this is what I'm going to do in the start to finish. And so what we're going to do is we have some other scraps here. And let's play with this. So we have a red floral that is 5 by 11. We have this basically is a 6 by 7. This is just a strip of 2 by 12. And blue floral, which is a 1 by 5. Now, these basically are just scraps. Using them, the size they're in. And the reason I give measurements is so it gives you a guide. And so I can already tell you this is very, very simple. If I had these, it basically would go just the way it landed. That's how it would go. That is how simple this page can be. And of course with this here, you can do a lot of different things with that little piece. And we've showed that in the 4x4 series. And I have 2 Charleston pictures here, and I do think that those colors go so well with those photos. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and we're going to be playing with this, doing a start to finish. I'm going to show you how I decided to pick my embellishments or my title using mood and feel and color. So hang on, I'll be right back. Alright, so I am back with some supplies because I just pulled a few, but I wanted to show you just with these scrap papers and these photos in mind, what type of embellishments would I pick, and then to make it a quick process, because if you're using scrap papers, you want to also do a quick page, why not? So what I decided to do was to pull a font that had something to do with traveling, and of course to go with the colors. So what are my colors? I have this deep coral, and of course a little hint of turquoise, green, blue, and this newspaper text print. So I have a variety of color, but my overall mood and feel is floral, but it's more of a sophisticated floral. Even with this, which, oh, that's the B side. So you can see this is more of a vintage, sophisticated floral. I love that blue, but of course I love this. It's almost like a brick red. So that made me think of these photos here, which I love. The homes in Charleston. Oh my goodness, I just love it. And so this is how my page is going to be. It's just going to be basically what I showed. It's going to be a block with a little straggler wherever we decide to put that. And my photos, and I did go ahead and mat them just so you can see them a little bit better. I'm going to put them right on top of that 6 by 7 block. And let's just get to playing. So what I decided to do with embellishments is that I knew what my photos were. I knew what my colors are. You can easily see what my colors are. But my mood and feel is that sophisticated floral home travel. And so that is what I decided to pick when I came to a thicker. I picked one that had basically a map travel type theme, because I'm probably going to, well, I know I'm going to use the word Charleston because I want that to stand out. And then also this had some green and turquoise, and of course that's in my paper, and even with these palm trees. So that was just a little easy to pick for me. And then what I also picked was for alphas, if I can find them. What did I do with them already? Oh goodness gravy. I had some mini alphas. Maybe I could find them. And so I'm going to do a subtitle. And so I knew when I was planning this layout it was going to be Charleston Charm. And so you'll see what ends up being my title. But I'm going to use these little mini alphas from My Mind's Eye. And again, they have that mood and feel of that vintage type of sophisticated look. Old English, old world, that type of thing. So I'm going to use that as my alphas. And then these are easy to find for me. It doesn't take me long. And I will tell you, when it comes to my supplies, whether it comes to my embellishments or my papers or my stickers, my alphas, anything, I try to make it a quick process. And so sometimes you do have to change where you have things and how you have things if you want an easy access. I will have a video listed below how I organize my alphas. And I have my alphas divided into 3 sizes because that fits my style. Thickers, and then basically a medium size, and then my minis. And so then what also I did was I went to my 6 by 12 sticker bin again, and I just picked some stickers. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for that coral and floral and that green and that blue. And so I just saw a couple of those coral and that green, again coral, and that navy blue, and then there was some coral. That's Cosmo Cricket. That's from Clementine. That's back in the day. And then some crepe paper. I saw some geotags, of course, traveling. And then, of course, these came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm telling you, now this was a few years ago. But look, you can buy stickers nowadays from Kaiser Craft and some other sticker books, and they're not even comparable. And these came from the Dollar Tree. Again, I saw that green and that coral. And then fancy pants. This is old school. I saw, what did I see? I saw that floral and that floral there and that turquoise, and then I saw that coral. So even though this is birthday, I'm not even paying attention to the birthday when I'm picking out. I'm looking at color and I see some tabs. These type of things can be fit in for anything. And then also we're dealing with homes, so you know numbers is always something I can incorporate with that travel and along with the colors. So those are my 6x12 stickers. They were easy to find because I just have them in a 6x12 sticker bin. So then the other thing, oh, I love that blue. Look at that blue from the Dollar Tree. Sign me up. And so then I also found some chipboard, and this is from October Afternoon Farmhouse, and of course we have home and keys and vintage. Well, you know that's going to work. And then the other things I picked was just from my embellishment bin, and I'm looking for color. There's that green and that dark. Of course that said home, florals, and again this was all because of the coral. The coral, and there was that little bit of turquoise if I decide to use that. And then some Chamel puffies, and then these One Canoe 2 by Hazelwood, these puffy stickers. And then I decided a finishing touch, because I'm making this quick, is that I just picked my ring of Gina Marie enamel dots, and this was my one spending freeze. I broke out of prison. Yeah, I broke out of prison from the spending freeze in 2019, and I broke down and I bought a stack of these, and they're very affordable. I have the link below, and if you put in Gina Marie Designs in the search engine, you will not get a website that says Gina Marie Design. This wholesale supplies outlet something. It's really funky. And so what I decided to do is I knew I had some that was matte. Some of these enamel dots. So the neutrals, and of course I know there's some greens in here somewhere. And I'm sure there's some coral and there's some greens in there. So I can just play off of those. So that is what I picked. Again, either by going with color or going with the theme of travel, map, geotags, and then also to that vintage floral. And so that is what I decided to pick for my embellishments. So let's get to playing here. If you want to see a finished layout, just go to the FFO, which means fast forward option. Some people do not like my talk. Some people want more talk. And so that's what the fast forward option is for. Just hit that and it'll be your best friend. Because I know there's some days when I'm watching a haul video and I don't want to see, you know, there's some things that I don't really like to look at as far as like stamps or dies, because I've basically try to stop buying those. So I just fast forward and get to the paper. So you can definitely do that with my videos as well. Just fast forward. Now for my title, what I went ahead and did to save a little bit of time is that I put my title on wax paper because I knew what it was going to be. Actually, I thought it was just going to be Charleston Charm, but the size of these alphas in comparison to these thickers, it's just a little too small. So I decided to make my subtitle a little bit bigger. And so what I did is I wrote the Charm of Charleston, because I truly think the homes for me is, I just loved it. I just loved it. I took so many pictures of homes. So that is my title. And so then I can play around where that's going to go. I just went ahead and put it on wax paper, and I will play with it wherever it seems to go. So now what do I need? I need wax paper, because now we're going to play. So doing the page design, you can see in the previous segment, it really wasn't difficult because I just have blocks of paper. So you're going to use the block design. And of course I had this 2x12 here. I'm going to just flush it to the left. Gives me a little bit of a lead in for my layout. So I'm already halfway done with this page. I just need to do some clusters. So what I do when I have this pile, and this is a manageable pile, is that I will just give a quick look through what I have, and if anything sticks out at me, and it's definitely going to be that coral because of this Cartabella paper. Geotags, absolutely. And of course we have some stickers here. Look at that coral sticker. Well, that's already an option. And then anything that catches my eye. So I had to basically just do a run through of anything. And I know this chipboard is drawing my eye, so we can start with a chipboard. Oh, here's a couple border stickers. So let's just play with that right quick. A couple border stickers. So I like this heart. That goes really, really well. Now, I wanted to say in my previous video that you can see I mixed white and ivory, and you would not even notice that if I didn't point it out. And it's the same way with this. This sticker has an ivory background. My florals have a little bit of an ivory background, but I'm using stark white basil cardstock, and I even use white to map my photos. That is just one of those things that I stopped doing. And after you... in the beginning, it's like, oh, can't mix it. And then you're like, oh, just mix it and be done with it. And then after you do it for a while, you don't even really see the difference of ivory and white. So just keep embracing that. So I can already tell you if I pick this, I'm going to play off the turquoise. So I could definitely tuck this in 2 different places. Look at me. I got border stickers going on already. Sometimes I will just stick stickers on my desk till I get done playing with them. And of course, you know, I don't have anything adhered down. So that's the downfall when you are playing. But sometimes if something is really sticky, you do have to put it on wax paper. I'm just going to kind of wing it. So I could put this border sticker right there. Oh, that's pretty. Or I could stick it. I could stick it right here. I like that too. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I do have 2 inches of that text paper. Oh, goodness gravy. I'm going to play off of that a little bit. So we're just going to stick this here, and hopefully it don't stick to my paper. If it does, oh well. That's what they make adhesive for. And so where was this other sticker I had? Didn't I have another sticker? So why did I not use the brown? Because it is too close in scale to what I already have with this Carta Bella floral. That is just a beautiful piece of paper. So I went with that turquoise. I like that. So what colors do we have so far? We have newspaper print, we got turquoise, we got coral, we got green, we got blue. And why is that okay? Because in my photos, I have a lot of color. Here we go. Here's that heart. And so I think we're going to go ahead. Now this is not a complete 12 inches, so I will just probably lay it like that. Okay, I already got started on my page. So now this gives me a little bit more meat over here as far as that lead in. And let's see, where are we going to put the title? I could put the title up here. That would look really, really good. Some of that may get lost on the floral paper. I could put my title over here. That's a little too heavy. Or I could put it down here. And I also could let some of that go in my photo. But these photos are so pretty to me because the homes were so pretty. So I will not be covering up any of that because I want the full Monty. I want the full 4x6 photo. So I will probably anchor this somewhere down here. And this blue thing, this blue scrap will get anchored somewhere. I think down here. I think that's the plan. We'll just anchor that. So we'll just assume that's where that title's going to go. So now, where will I build a cluster? And I've been playing with these little Ofray ribbons. And I want to show you something when it comes to clusters. So how do I know right now, where am I going to build a cluster? Well, I already have a title here. So I can go ahead and build a cluster down here in this corner. So that's one point of the triangle. I can come over here and do one. And then so where would this complete a triangle? I could go here and that would complete a triangle. But I have some space up here. So let's add something up there. So there's my visual triangle. So that is how you can get a visual. If you need to, get some visual aids like this. And this really helps you figure out, do I want my visual triangle this way? You could do it this way. Do I want my visual triangle this way? There's no wrong way to do this. You could even put you could put one here, and one there. So a visual triangle is anywhere on your page that you want it to be. So I'm going to give this as a reference point. Something like this. One here, one here. Yeah, we'll do an easy triangle. How's that? We'll do an easy triangle. So there's where my visual triangle is. So let's play with, the easiest thing is the base of a cluster. So of course, anything that you have that is a bigger label or a sticker with basically this type here that has no wording, even if it does have wording, don't worry, this is a great cluster base. All of those are great cluster base. Even though that says happy birthday, I definitely could use that on this page if I wanted to. This says sweet little moments, I could use that. I just cover things up with stickers. And so this is chipboard. Now chipboard can definitely, oh well, let's see what we have. We have the word home. That is going to have to go on a wax paper. And there's a key. That would be fun. I mean, how could that not be perfect? Because we are talking about homes. Might as well just play with this chipboard and call it good. Established in 19 something. I would have to cover up that. This here, this ruler, that would be fun. Restoration. Oh yes, we're talking homes. And so I will put this to the side, but I definitely can play with that later. We were talking about cluster bases. I got sidetracked. So this could be a cluster base. And let's see. Well, I already know. I'm going to pull some of these stickers here for home. We have numbers on them, but I'm picking them in that coral because that would be perfect. Be perfect, perfect. And then what do we have here? This would go, and this would be a good cluster base. So you see how I'm just picking out stickers. This was really old school. Okay, so then what else do we have? We have these Dollar Tree stickers. So I'm just giving a quick look, and this is how I scrapbook, honestly. I just pull things that I think would start a cluster base. That coral is a really good color. And we have more tabs. Geotags. These would be, oh, that would be a good cluster base. I think I'm getting too many going on here. But those are all, I mean, and look how these all go. They're not even, one's from crepe paper, one's from Dollar Tree. Here's a green one. And we have other green. And we have green. So what I do is I kind of make a selection from my stickers. And then I play with what's on my wax paper and go from there. So I'm just giving a quick look. I think we pretty much have everything. Oh, here's a wood grain. I'm going to have, well, yeah, we'll just use wood grain. That goes with anything. Now, also with that mat, you could have went with a craft mat. That would have went really well, and it would have looked homey. And so I think I'm pretty much done playing with these stickers here. Of course, all those geotags would be good. That's a little different. And I think I'm done. I could even go and pull any of these if I see anything. That's maybe the wrong type. There's more orange and pink. Oh, here's some. These are by Pink Paisley. That coral. That would be good. Let's pull one of them. So I'm looking at it as far as numbers because homes have numbers on them. I mean, that's how you find someone's address. And then what else do we have? We have some Chanel puffies, and then we have fancy pants again. These are a little bit too modern for my mood and feel. Too modern, too whimsical. And we have some puppies, so I will keep those to the side. And then along with that, I have some enamel dots. So I basically have some, I basically have cluster bases started, some, what do I want to say? I have cluster bases picked out, and then I have some things that just stick out at me that I want to use, like the numbers. This says home, this says restoration, because a lot of those homes have been restored, and then my finishing touches. So basically just picking and choosing some items, and now let's get to playing. So where do we want to start? Now you have to take into account that things will be a little askewed because I don't have things adhered, but this is just how I play, and this is why I love my wax paper. And let's see, we're definitely going to put the title, I think, down here. So I could use, oh, that would be pretty up there. I like how that looks down here. That definitely gives me a base for my title. I like that. And of course, it's old school. It's a ruler that is advertising about fountain pens. I love that. Now what I do next is now I go to my bigger pieces. The ruler was the biggest piece. I have to make room for that first. My next biggest piece is this home, which I definitely want this on here. I mean, the charm of Charleston. I have to get this on here. So my visual triangle was going to be there, so I could put that here, or I could put that here. I could slide things down. Let's try that. And then, of course, what's my next biggest? I have this key, but that could just be a fill-in. So now let's talk about a cluster base. So I need a cluster base for this right here. And so then what am I going to pick? So I already have decided on my title and my subtitle and this ruler. I really like that. So now when I'm picking out cluster bases for my other two, I will pick colors from here. So what do I have? I have brown, coral, and basically a green. So the coral I really already have taken care of, and that's my paper. So I'm looking for green or brown, and what do I have? I only picked two of these. So I could pick this green. Easy. So that cluster base is just a small little place to get things started. That's all that is. And so then let's come over here for a cluster base. And what could I pick? I have green, brown, and coral. And this is too big. That's too small. And we're going to have to go with Mama Bear. And we're going to have to go there. Okay, so that's a cluster base. So my cluster bases in this case is I'm using this ruler, this chipboard ruler as a starting piece, and then this green as my cluster base for this chipboard, and then this right here. Okay. So now what else do we have? We will have, we could play with some of these smallers. I have tabs. I have this green. I have that green, so that brings that green up there. I have this key. I have this photo corner. I need a place for this. Now, since this writing is in a definite position, because I want it to say restoration, I'm going to have to put it over here on the right. That's the only place it's going to fit. That's the only place I'm going to, and if I'm afraid it's too sticky, I'll just use my EK Success powder tool. And I'm going to have to put that there. So that's already started. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we have these numbers, and we could play with these. I had this green. I'm going to stick that there. I don't want to forget about it. Okay, so now let's play with some other items I have. So you see how fast this process is going? Instead of me having to go through like this and look and look and look and look, I already made some decisions. So I will, honestly, if I want to do a fast page, I use what's in front of me. Unless it doesn't fit my color scheme, then I go ahead and look through something else. So let's go up here, and you see how I'm doing my visual triangles. I'm doing them in a triangle fashion because I can't decide on anything until I make another decision. So up here, what do we have? We have brown, and we have maybe a green, but coral. So I already know, look for something coral, and I have these numbers. I have this 7, and I have this, and this is basically, this is kind of like a pink, but I'm going to go with this darker one, and I'm going to somehow stick it under there as a tab, and I'm going to have that number 7 showing. And this number 4, so I could stick that over there. I like how that looks. Yes, absolutely like how that looks. And so do we have any room for this? This and this. And I don't think any of these. Oh, I could use this one somewhere. Okay, I have a tab here, tab here. So where would I use this tab? You're right. I would use it down here. And so just because it's a tab, and I'll show this in just a minute, doesn't mean that you can't use tabs upside down. Look at that. That's how I'm going to do that tab. So these tabs alone, they came from that crepe paper. They make a visual triangle. My color brown, that is a little bit of a brown in that chipboard. That makes a visual triangle. I could get this key in, but I will show you a little bit of a pickle with this key. if I put this key here, it's going to compete with this. If I put this key here, it's going to compete with that photo corner because my photo corner is what I wanted to show. If I come down here, it's just too much. I mean, I could layer that, but that's chipboard on top of chipboard, and that won't cut the cake, so that might not even make it. And then what else do we have? I'm just playing at this point. I have numbers. Let's talk about that for a minute. I have numbers here, I have numbers here, and I have numbers here. So the numbers, just the fact numbers, they make a visual triangle, so I can skip that one. And I think we're basically down to, what are we down to? Maybe some puffies and enamel dots. So let's pick out our enamel dots. And so I can already tell you it's going to have to be green. And how did I come up with green? I still have this floating around because I don't have anything here, and I could add green here, and I have less green there. So, of course, anything you pick is going to be fine. So here was a green, and I'm matching it up with this green here in Charleston, or that green, or the palm trees. So, and I like the matte. I don't want gloss. And I think this right here. Look at this set here. Now this is what we would call neon 80s. Look at that. And they are matte. They almost look velvety. I really like that green. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to play with enamel dots in this green. And will I use all green? I don't know. We're just going to represent that we're using green here. And that might not be exactly where they go, but it's the representation that I'm going to use enamel dots somewhere on this page. And now I won't put that too far away because I may need some more. And then what else did we have? We had Chamel puffies, and we had these Hazelwood One Canoe 2. And I love these for the floral. This blue won't work, but maybe we could work with the turquoise. Okay, let's see what we could come up with here. So for this, now of course if this wax paper gets a little too much, you can always fold it so you can get a better representation. But I'm telling you, for the fly, I like how those clusters are coming together. Very easy. So yes, I have these flowers. The coral is maybe going to compete. The blue won't work, but we definitely could play with this right here, this turquoise here. I think we could, because there is a hint of that in the Charleston, and of course a play off the turquoise there and a play off the turquoise in the paper. So we could come down here and put a puffy there somewhere in that area, and we could use another puffy. We could come over here and put a puffy, something like that, in that vicinity. Again, maybe could use a little bit more of the enamel dots. And then we'll use one more of these puffies. Now that looks a little big. So look at the size of that puffy in comparison to the rest. That's a little big. So let's pick something else. Here's a smaller one. And I think this looks a little bit better. And so we could put a puffy, something like that. And then of course play off of those enamel dots. Now is this green thing going to make it? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to make it anywhere. And I just kind of play along, see if it'll tuck in somewhere. Okay, so now how would I know if I'm going to put anything else here? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could put one more thing because I like things in odd numbers. So I could put that there. That would give me 7 items. I consider my title as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I probably could put another enamel dot somewhere down here. And then over here, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another enamel dot. But I did have these puffies here. So if I didn't want to use, sometimes I don't want to use all enamel dots, so I could use a puffy Chamel. And again, if this is too much of the process, I know some people don't like this. I like this green heart right here. Where could we put this? We could put this down here on that tab. What I was saying is sometimes I get tired of just always having enamel dots. It's always, you want to break out of it being expected. So in this case, we have 2 enamel dots and then a green sticker. Down here, 2 enamel dots and a puffy. And then up here, 3 enamel dots. So I think that's a good balance. Yeah, so that's a lot of playing. But isn't that fun? I love this part of the process, making clusters. And so you can see how simple it can be. Is work with your title, put it on a wax paper. It doesn't have to be in concrete. You can change your mind. And then what you can do then is start, where do you want that visual triangle? And if you have to get a visual aid, go ahead and do that. And then once you decide where you may want them, start with some bigger pieces. And right here, I started with that chipboard, and then I gave it a little anchor with that simple little Dollar Tree green sticker. And then, of course, I wanted to get that restoration photo corner on. So that is how that looks. Come back. I would adhere everything down. It'll basically look exactly the way we have it. That's exactly how it's going to be. I'm just going to simply adhere it. I don't think I'm going to need my quick dry, my super glue. I don't have anything. I will use my tacky glue and my Big Red. Where did Big Red go? Right here. I will use my Big Red. And someone asked me, where do I get my refills? I get them from Tape Jungle. I will have that listed below. Sign up for their newsletter first, because you usually can get a discount on your ATG. And I did buy a case of them 2 years ago, and I'm still working on that case. Yeah, it was a good investment. I think they were like $1.03 or something, $1.08. It was very inexpensive when you're used to paying $7. So I wanted to mention that. Okay, so hang on. I will come back and we'll see the very finished result and see if the clusters look pretty much like that. Okay, hold on. All right, I am almost ready to wrap up this layout. And so all I simply did was adhere these elements, the paper and the embellishments, to this page, and then I gave it a mat. And I can't wait to show you what my green background mat is. It's a blast from the past. It truly is. And so all I simply used for adhesive was my tacky glue and then, of course, my Scotch ATG. And I want to just show you a visual as to what my clusters look like. And that is the visual triangle. And why this is so appealing for a design for a page for the embellishment clusters is because a triangle has 3 points, and so your eye just keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so it just keeps your eye going throughout the page so you don't miss anything. You don't just focus on the title. You don't just focus on the journaling. You don't just focus on the photos. You focus on all of it. And that's the whole point of telling a story. And so you'll notice that with my photos and the mats and the paper and the embellishments, if I do the bend test, nothing pops up, and that's where this Scotch tacky glue, this is why I like it, because it dries quick. So I will put a dab of this in the corner of my photos and my mats and my papers and my embellishments, anything that peeks up, even these puffies. If they tend to, sometimes you'll put a puffy down and you'll see in a couple hours it'll pop back up, I will give it a dab of this tacky. Now, someone had asked me that they were having trouble finding this Fineline, and so I don't know if it's called a Fineline through Joggles.com. I will have that website listed below, but you can contact Joggles, and that's what I did a few years ago. And you can tell them, I have Scotch tacky glue, I have glossy accents, I have diamond glaze, I have Eileen's tack it over and over. Whatever adhesive you have, tell them and say, what do I need for a fine line applicator? You can say it that way, because there are different gauges, there are different sizes, there's different nozzles, it gets complicated. So there's no sense trying to figure it out, and there has been a manufacturer's change on these applicators. So contact Joggles, just reach out to them and say, what do I need? And even if you need a couple of them, and the shipping is affordable and great customer service. So again, that will be listed below. And so I do use that. I use that a lot for a little bit of a dab. It really comes in handy. And it's still not hard to put back, even with 50-year-old eyes. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm not done with this page. What do I need to do? I'm going to have some journaling. There's going to be a couple lines. It's going to run up there. And the reason I wanted to say with my journaling, it's only going to be a couple lines, because I have several layouts to do about these homes. So I don't have a lot to say, but I'll have a little bit to say on all those layouts. So probably 2 or 3 lines. And then the other thing I have to do is I need to do something so that when I go do my journaling, I won't forget what it is. And what is that? I need to flip this over, and I need to write the date on the back. Now, this was something I didn't do for many years, and when I went to journal, I thought, oh, I'll remember. No, you cannot remember. I can't remember. So I have been doing that over the last several years. I take a pencil. That way you don't have to worry about bleed through. And I just simply write the date, because I always have the date on every one of my layouts, if at all possible. So then I wanted to tell you what my background mat was. It is a blast from the past. Do you remember Chatterbox and the walls? Yes, Chatterbox walls. That's what that is. It's amazing how you can have something in your stash for years and years and years, and then when you go to use it one day, it's like you just bought it today. Isn't it funny how that works? So that's what I said. If you love something, it doesn't matter how old it is, keep it. You never know when it's going to come in handy. So I did add that. Now, what will I do with these leftovers? Of course, these Gina Marie dots will just go back where I got them, and easy to access, easy to put away, and I simply just have them on a jump ring. And these puppies will go back in the original packaging, and they'll go in my embellishment bin. And now these leftover stickers and chipboard will go back on the sheets, and if they won't stay, then I just leave them on wax paper and put them in an embellishment bin. So I put things away in different manners. That's just what you have when you pull out a variety of manufacturers and collections when you're doing a page. Now, I will say the same way I said in the last video, you would never know looking at this that this was just scraps and all these different manufacturers. You would absolutely think this came from a collection pack or a kit that a manufacturer made. So scraps still can be used for great pages. So I will have all the information listed below and come back in a couple days. We have another video in this series where we're going to continue to work with the creative scrappers sketches. Yes, say that 3 times. Yes, and all that information will be listed below. Look into it. It's really a great affordable price for a lot of sketches, a lot of ideas, because you know we want to have those ready and in hand so that we can scrap and do pages quicker. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to do. Bye.